All right, Breeze Yoga friends. I'm imagining is probably going to be about a 90-minute yin practice. And the intention is to replenish the kidneys and the urinary bladder meridian, which is, of course, associated with the season of winter. It doesn't have to be done in winter. It can be any time when you're feeling there's a sense of fatigue or exhaustion, or I always find the kidney bladder practices are quite restorative. So if you're feeling like you just need something a bit more restorative than a normal yin, then this is probably a really good practice for you. So grab whatever you need. If you need to pause the video, go get it, that's fine. I've not got blocks with me today, so I'll be using a substitute. But if you have a block, a strap, blankets, bolsters, make sure that you've got layers because you will get cold. And let's get started. So I'm going to set my timer. We're going to begin in dangling. So I personally like a really modified version of this to begin with. So I like to work with my elbows on my thighs, let the back of the head relax. And then the other alternative is to rest with your butt against a wall, which is probably even more restorative. So if you're just feeling like it's a really, really chill day today, and the last thing you want to be doing is straining, then this is a really good option. And then, of course, if you feel like you want to go a little bit deeper, you can let the arms dangle down. Okay, so you're just feeling this sense of real dangling, which is too much for me to begin with. I like to ease into this pretty gently. You can have your hands on blocks or bolsters too. So just set yourself up enough so that, remember, you're in only at like maximum 70% of your capacity. And let the breath be really easy and just, allow yourself the time that it takes to arrive into your body. So that could mean that it takes you the whole 90 minutes that we're together, and that's okay. It might mean that the first few pauses are about really like unplugging from the attachments of the external, with the aim of arriving to some internal connection throughout the practice. So if now you're feeling like there's space to go a little bit deeper, you might release the arms down. For those of you guys that have been on the wall, you might take the option where you turn into the wall for the last bit of time. And you'll let your upper back rest into the wall. This gets definitely, for me, more into the back of the leg lines, the urinary bladder line. Again, it's very much about not choosing options that will essentially stress the body, particularly in today's practice. So generally, we're already kind of under stress. And I was thinking just before we started practice, like, for most other species, this is a time where we really go quiet and inward. And this is where creation occurs, and we begin to really start to sow the seeds that we reap in the summer. And just by the nature of the way we live, there's never really any time where we really do go quiet and in. Not for an extended period of time anyway. So these practices are so crucial to maintaining some kind of natural rhythm and some kind of connection to the natural environment. Even if it only is a very short period of time out of the week. You're going to start to ease your way out of this super slow. You might stand up for a moment, you might kneel. I just want you to feel like the shift of tension as it moves through the body. And we're going to come down into a squat position. So I'm substituting the block with my roll today. So if you're someone that wants to sit on a block, that's a little bit more easier for you, or whatever you've got around the house, it doesn't really matter. We're not going to be here long, but just want to start to tease the inner leg lines open. So you can use your elbows on the inner legs there. Now, what I like about this pose is if I lean a little bit more into the front of my feet, like it gets into the calves, like the back line of the calves there. So you might play around with the distribution of weight in your feet. Maybe you lift your chest and that changes the release for you. So it's also okay to have a little bit of movement through the hips. Like we get quite rigid in yin, where we're like, we must remain still in all of the poses forever. And of course, that's kind of the essence of the practice, but it's sometimes helpful to have these little yang movements in between the yin. So we can't separate the yin and yang as much as we like to think we can. And there's yin in all yang and vice versa. You can have a yang-like movement with a yin-like mentality too, remember. So if you're moving quite dynamically, but your mentality is chill, that's yin and yang. And then from there, we're going to move down to the mat, which is pretty much where we'll spend the rest of our time today. Now, this is entirely up to you what you do here. We're going to come into half butterfly. So we'll start with the left leg extended. And the right heel is in towards the groin. Now, some people like a block at the back of the extended leg. That just helps with the forward fold. Some people like to have a bolster over the thighs, a little bit of pressure on the belly. Essentially what we're doing is targeting the back line of the body today. So whether you're targeting the back line of the leg or the back of the spine, it doesn't really matter. So long as you know it's the back line of the body that we're targeting. And then we're going to come forward. So you might rest your hands on the floor there just for a little bit of time to let the back tissues unwind. You can always prop yourself through the head there if the neck's a problem too. And try to kind of get away from this idea that props are a bad thing. Like, we use the props to support the body so the tissues can release. And then what you might find over like a period of time in the pause is that the props have served their purpose and they can move. Or maybe you need to keep them the whole time. So it's just being really clear on the intention, like we're just not putting them there for no reason. But if they're there and they're helpful, my opinion is just use them. And if it helps you get a deeper release, that's a good thing. Alrighty, so I'm going to start to slowly roll up. I would suggest keeping the chin tucked under there so you feel the whole rounding of the spine up. We're not going to come down into the rebound right away, so you might extend both legs forward and maybe just a little bit of a wiggle of the legs, get some movement there, maybe stillness works for you. I'm going to transition to the other side pretty much straight away. So I say this every single practice. I'm going to say it again. Remember that we're not symmetrical, so there's different tension patterns on either side of the body, and we try to do the same pose, the same on both sides, and it's never really going to work. So prop yourself according to what is actually true on this side for you, which might mean that this pose looks like completely different. I know it does for me, and that's okay. So again, we're just working with the truth of what is in our body, which is so important. Rather than what we think is like the truth, like we have a perceived idea of what is true. And it stops us seeing what's really true in our body. And then once you're in, let go. Back of the neck particularly. Okay, my friends, slowly, slowly roll your way up, and I'm just going to get you to come down onto your back for a moment. So extend the legs out. You can take a little bit of movement through the legs if you need that. Otherwise, just coming all the way down onto your back. And just feel for the shift in energy internally, like notice any sensation as you lay still. Alrighty, we're going to make our way into reclined butterfly. So if you don't happen to have a bolster at home, you can always use like cushions or pillows, something like that. So the other thing that's nice is like you just cut like a leg off some old trousers and stuff it with blankets and towels. That works quite well too. And so you can also have a block underneath the bolster to lift yourself up a bit more too if that feels better. We're going to come into Baddha Konasana legs. Now, the other alternative I like to do when I've got blocks, which I don't have today, but you can have like 2 blocks or 2 somethings, as long as they're like even height underneath both knees. And what that does is it just offers support there for the bones, and then the tension in the tissues in the inner thighs, it moves into another layer of the tissues that we don't get to because we often go like past it. So it will feel gentler probably, but it doesn't mean it's not doing good things. So choose your own adventure. And you might decide here, take your arms out to the side. So you start to get into the pecs, which I love because obviously in winter time, especially when it's cold, like we're huddling in, we're trying to keep warm, and the chest, like the upper chest area gets really closed off and tight. So obviously it's not where the kidney and the bladder meridians run, but the heart and the small intestine, which, you know, have a relationship with the kidneys and, you know, all interrelated through the meridians. So if one set of meridians is blocked or stale or stagnant, then the connection to the other meridians is impacted and the cycle continues on like so. So yes, the focus is kidney and bladder, but we want to feel for opening up through the upper chest, particularly in this pose. So you might decide the arms over the head is a better option for you if you've got that range today. Just keep the arms out to the side there, and again, just feel for that resting down into the support of the bolster. So you're allowing the back of your body, the back part of you, to be held. This does incredible things for the nervous system. It's that messaging that says everything's okay. Hey, my friends. Helping yourself up easy, easy. And start to roll any props away and just come back onto that neutral place. Allowing the legs to extend, the back line of the body to rest heavy. And just observing the changes, like notice sensation. Maybe your body feels heavier, like more weighty on the floor. Maybe it's just easier to take a deeper breath. So again, just easing on up, super slow. We're going to move into Sphinx pose. So you can use blocks here. So you're going to be on your tummy. You can take your legs as wide as you need to, and then the block might support the forehead like so. And that way you've just got like the forearms resting on the floor like you would normally. I like the block there because it gives me an opportunity then to feel like I'm not having to activate the shoulders. And the other option is to bring the palms together. That's another way of not using the shoulders too much. So you're still getting a bit of a squeeze in the mid-back region there where the kidneys sit. You can let the head hang forward. You can let the head do whatever it needs to do. And then another option that I like if I'm feeling like I've got a bit more room, which you might come into as like the pose progresses, is just have the forearms on like a bolster or even blocks. So that for me just gets into the back of the kidneys a tiny little bit more. And then what I'll do is I'll give you guys an option to up level to seal once we've been here for a little bit of time. So plenty of time. I just want to make sure in this that, and it's typical, that the legs and the butt are going to start to work a little bit harder. Just want to, you might even need to, like a couple of times whilst we're in the pose, like give the legs a bit of a shake. And maybe you'll let the head drop forward, maybe you'll tilt the head back. You can start to let the belly and the lower abdomen relax. So wherever you are, really you want the shoulders to be working as little as possible. Remember that in Yin, we're really more interested in the tension in the bones and the joints rather than the muscles. So that's a general rule of thumb that I like to use for my own practice. Like, are my muscles working? As little as they can be. And if not, what can I do to make that happen? All right, friends, if you're happy there, then stay as you are. We've got another couple of minutes. If you feel like you can go deeper into seal, then you can come up like so. So a few things you can do with the arms. You can take them a lot further forward, actually. Like if you watch my shoulders, you'll see how they hike up. That's like key. Okay, so you just want to feel that there's no pushing the floor away. You want to feel like your pelvis can hang. Some of you might want to turn your fingers inwards so you get a little bit more of a deeper let go. Well, for me anyway, that gets into the front line of the body deeper, like particularly around the lower abdomen. So I guess a bit more work on the large intestines and of course a deeper squeeze in the kidneys. And the idea is when we give these internal organ lines an opportunity to de-stagnate, if that's even a word. Like it's like the blockage not just impacts that direct meridian line, but there's a whole ecosystem internally that gets impacted in a positive way. It's like self acupuncture for like a quarter of the price. All right, friends. Start to make your way down, like easy onto your tummy. If that doesn't feel great, then of course you can go onto your back or another position that just feels like, some people like to bring one knee up towards the chest there. So you're like a half frog type situation. And again, if that works for you, then by all means do that. For those of you that are doing the half frog thing, make sure you do the other side for a few breaths before we transition to the next pause. So you guys can stay on your tummy. I'm just going to have to be quite aware of the mic here, so hopefully the sound is okay. But we're going to come into arm pigeon. So you'll take the arms out to shoulder height, and we'll start with the left arm. So essentially what you want is the left arm just a little bit higher than shoulder height. So try not to have it directly out, so it's up a little bit. Now, some of you will work with a straight arm, which will be plenty, and some of you might need to bend your elbow a little bit. Just make sure that the elbow doesn't bend to like 90 degrees. And then you're going to start to roll open. So, ladies, you may need to rearrange your boobs just according to what time of the month it is particularly, but it can be uncomfortable here. So feel for organising that in a way that is really helpful and not painful for you. And then there's a few options with your legs. So you can see that I've got my right leg behind and the left leg is straight there. That's one option that's quite deep. So the target area is the upper left side of the chest. You might bend the bottom knee and straighten the top leg. That tends to be, actually that's more intense for me today. Okay, and then there's obviously both the bent knee option, which is really deep for me. So choose a leg position that is going to help you be in the target area. I'm going to put my timer on, which is the upper left side of your chest. If you're not feeling it, it might mean that you need to bend your elbow more. It might mean that you need to change the position of your legs. It might mean that you need to take your left arm a little bit higher up or lower down. So just keep playing. Like, this is the beautiful thing about a home practice. We can pause the video, we can have a little play, we can start to discover actually how these poses work for us on any given day, which is a luxury that we don't have in a group class because there's other people to think about. This has got absolutely nothing to do with the kidney and gallbladder meridians, but urinary bladder. But is very good for obviously when we've closed the chest, when it's been really cold, and also if we're sitting at desk. So there's like all the things that make this area tight. And actually, it's one of the key muscles that helps us take a really deep breath in. And when this area is tight, there's like less chance of us being able to take a deep breath, which energetically means that we're not able to get as inspired. So our inspiration is lacking, which is all about our capacity to take a deep breath in. We're going to roll slowly, oh God, slowly onto your tummy. And take both hands by your side. Oh my God. Hopefully you guys are feeling that like I am. Just let your body rest easy on the floor there. You can actually feel the difference of like aliveness in the left arm and the right arm, right? So this like bubbling, effervescent sensation, like a sparkly in the left arm. For me anyway. And then my right arm just feels a little bit duller, like less alive. All right, friends, let's go to the other side. So same thing, obviously considering that this side might be a very different experience. You can take the arm out to the side. That's the right arm this time. Maybe a slight bend through the right elbow. Oh. And then arrange your legs accordingly. Get a sense of feel what's working. This is definitely an area of mine that's troublesome, and I think You know, like the more we get to know our bodies, the more we start to realize, although the tension changes according to the seasons and, you know, like what we've got going on in our lives, that there's always like this particular area that's generally the culprit. And all that means really is that we just hold things in different parts of our body, and some of us will hold tension in our tummies, some of it hold in the shoulders, the jaw, the neck, the brain. Okay, friends, time to come out. Oh, God. Go slow. Oh. Same again, just take your arms by your side. Let your body rest heavy on the floor. Alrighty. Let's come on up to seated. So, alrighty. There's a few things you can do here. So you can either work with cross-legged, so your left leg is in front of the right. Or if you've got a bit more space, you can work into square. So square basically speaks for itself. it's a square with the legs, and you want to feel the shins are stacked. So if you've got one knee up there, I'd probably just cross the legs. That would be a whole heap more useful. Alrighty, and then we're going to start to make our way forward. So you might stay on the hands for the first minute or so, like just kind of give the tissues a chance to respond. And then maybe as the tension begins to ease, like the pull and the intensity, there's an option to go a little bit further in. But again, just take time, like easy. It's such a long practice of unlearning that there's nowhere to get to in this practice at all. Like there's actually no destination at all. It's more a practice of being here in our body with what is here, so that we've got, more awareness about how we're traveling from day to day. And quite a lot of the time, like, I feel okay in my body until I get to the mat and I do a practice, and then after I'm like, oh my actual God, like, I was not okay. Which is really the reason why I do it every day in some form. It's because I don't know how stressed I am until I've done a practice and realise what it feels like to not be stressed. And that's, that's after a good long time of practicing yoga on a very regular basis. Like, this stuff's not linear. It's not like one day we're suddenly going to know how to be calm forever. We get a daily reprieve, if you like, which is good, because if it all just went well, I'd never practice, So you might notice that there's space to go further in or not. I just went further in and realised actually that's too intense for me today. You can always change your mind. It's always an option to come back out. Alrighty. And start to ease on up. Now, you can cross the left knee over the right. So you're in a full shoelace, and of course you can, so it's going straight into the next pose. You can sit up on a block or a bolster or whatever else works for you. Now, it might be that you stay upright, right, which is absolutely okay. If you've got the space to come forward, then of course you're going to do that, that's fine. And then if that's not working, you can straighten that bottom leg and come forward that way. So there's a few different options. And again, it's just about choosing the place that's honest for you today. So sometimes we got an option to go deeper. Sometimes our body's like, never done yoga before. And it can just come on any given day where it's like, what the heck? It's very humbling, especially when you've been practicing for a while. There's like an expectation that you'll get on your mat and you'll just be able to do it, and then it's almost like yoga has this inside intelligence that goes, I might just show her that she's no way further down the line than she was 10 years ago, just to keep her in that right-sized. The only thing that changes, I mean, of course the physical body gets used to this a little bit, but it's more so our reaction to the intensity that changes, and our awareness around our own patterns. All right, friends, it's coming out easy-ish. Oh. Oh. Now then, you might want to do like a little internal rotation of the knees there, because we're not gonna come down onto our backs until we've done the whole shebang. You might want to do a little bit of like really slow internal external rotation there. Legs a bit of a wiggle, and then we do have another side. Oh, the joy. You can take the right leg on top of the left. So remember again, like it's absolutely okay to do a different thing altogether on this side. So you might just be crossing the legs. It might be something else, and then we're going to slowly ease in again. So I always rest my arms on the front shin there. But you do what you need to do, and I just pause for maybe like a minute or 5 slow, long breaths. okay, my friends. Take your sweet time to ease on up, super slow. And then we are going to come straight into the shoelace, knees stacked. So you've got the right knee on top of the left, or if you need to straighten that bottom leg, you may. And then we're going to start to work again. So you might not go into the forward fold straight away. This side might be a lot easier for you. So just work with what you can, and also bearing in mind, we spoke about it earlier, like this is more restorative than most yin practices. That's the quality of these meridians. It's about nourishing and nurturing. So my advice, just to really glean the most amount of prana from this practice, is if you're not sure whether it's 70% of your capacity, I'd err on the side of caution and go gentler rather than deeper. Ease, ease, ease on out. Oh, so slow. This time, just going to come down onto our back for a minute and just, oh. It's like the prana or the chi or whatever it is you relate to in terms of the energy moving through your body now. Just notice what's changing. Feel the sensation. Feel the weight of your body. Yeah, my friends, before we move into the final pause, I'll give you an opportunity to just do a little happy baby. So you might not want to do this, in which case it's fine, you can stay where you are. If you feel like this might be a little bit of relief in the lower back, you can grab either the inside or the outside, and just a few breaths here. Feel for letting the back press gently into the earth. And then from there, we'll set up for our final pause before Shavasana, which is a reclined twist. So the knees will be bent. You'll off-center the pelvis to the right and take the knees over to the left. And my recommendation for you is to keep both knees bent and shins stacked, ankles stacked. But if you want a different option, you can take whatever you like. I just prefer this as a more restorative choice. And then take the right arm out to shoulder height, or maybe you want to take the right arm over the head. So again, you just feel into what works for you here. If you'd like a bit of extra weight, you can put a bolster on the legs like so, which I like to do. It's just that extra little bit of support to help the tissues release deeper. Okay, folks, if you've got a bolster on you, just again gently slide that off. Let yourself move back through centre. Maybe just pause there in the middle. You can take the feet out wide, let the knees knock into the midline. Feel again the weight of your spine as it rests into the earth. And then we'll off-center the pelvis to the left and the knees, or we'll go to the right. There's always the option there to take the bolster on the top, which I personally like. I personally like. You know, it's been a good practice when you can no longer talk. And then the closer the knees are up to the chest, the more you're going to feel that little bit of relief through the back, which in a kidney practice is key. Which is why I'm suggesting don't necessarily focus on taking the legs any further. tidy. Just make your way back through the midline. So you might want to extend the legs for a minute there. Maybe a bit of movement. Just do what kind of intuitively feels right. And then the only thing that is remaining now is Shavasana. So you might work with a bolster at the back of the knees like so. You might take your legs up the wall. You might, actually, this is a really nice one to do. So you might come onto your side with a bolster and a block or some sort of pillow under your head. And just make sure if you're doing this one, that the ankle and the knee are on the bolster so your leg's not hanging off. Okay, and that way the back gets full support. It's a really nice restorative option. So set yourself up accordingly. Make sure if you're in a place where it is currently winter time, that you are covered and cozy. And then allow for a major layer of let go through the back line of the body now. This place in Shavasana where we allow for this like, it's like a recalibration of the tissues, the bones, the joints. But also like our psyche. So we've just sent 90 minutes worth of messages to the nervous system and to let the body know that it's okay to rest. And then in this place of stillness in Shavasana, there's an opportunity for the tissues to really kind of integrate that change, to integrate it into knowing that this is an okay place to be. steady. Let's invite the breath back through the body. Perhaps noticing that there's change, more space, things feel different. Maybe you notice that the mind is less agitated, less busy. And start to bring a little bit of movement there to the fingers and the toes. Maybe you'll take a full body stretch. Reach the hands over the head, point the toes away. And then making the transition onto one side. Just allow yourself to pause there for a moment. And then let yourself move on up to seated easy. Allowing the hands to rest there at your heart. And there's a deep breath in through the nose. Long exhale out through the mouth. And we bow in gratitude and we say namaste.